Hey guys, CR here, and thanks for dropping by and watching my video. So today I'm going to be talking about oxygen not included, the agricultural upgrade version. So there are quite a number of things that they have changed. So there are some tips that I gave before in the thermal upgrade that are, I guess, not no longer applicable because of the changes that they did for this particular upgrade. So hopefully these new tips and guide that I'm going to share with you would help you out when you're trying to play your game. So let's get on to it. So the first gripe I really want to talk about here is the massage table. Really, I mean, massage table. They made so many changes with the massage table. I can't spam massage tables anymore because they need electricity. Electricity, which is 240 watts. That's a lot of watts for a massage table. I can't spam it anymore, I have to say. Now, in my previous guide, I said that we don't need massage table because the masterpieces are enough to de-stress these duplicates. Unfortunately, when I tried it out, it doesn't work. It did work initially when I was just going through within this specific biome. I'm fine, no problem. The masterpieces are doing their work. But when I started exploring other biomes, going extending as low as here and going as high as up north, oh wow, the stress is not decreasing. It decreases, but it's not in a pace where the masterpieces are actually distressing them enough. Now, I was forced to create these massage table, and to my surprise, they made quite a number of changes with the tables. Now, apart from the changes that they did for the electricity requirement, they also changed how you use the massage table. You can't assign duplicates anymore when you use the massage table. So they added this break time policy for the massage table. So they had the max stress and minimum stress. So max stress basically means that if a duplicate reaches a certain level of stress, let's say for example 51%, then they will go to the massage table. Now you still will be able to identify the number of priority that you want to set for this building. So I still normally would set it to 9 so that when the duplicate reaches that certain stress level, they will automatically go to the massage table, which is at 50%. Now, the purpose of the minimum stress here is to identify, so when will the duplicant leave the massage table? So it's up to you where you want to put it, but I would normally put it at 0 because I want 0 stress when they start the day. But you can change it to anything between 0 to 51, but of course, what makes sense, what sense would it make if you put it at 50, right? So up to you. You can probably set it to maybe 20 or 10. That would be fine. So you can rotate more duplicates, getting them de-stressed as much as possible. So the next thing we're going to be talking about would be plants. Now there are a lot of changes that they did with the plants. We're going to be breaking this into some separate topics so that you can understand what actually are the changes and what are the new things that came in. So first off, I want to talk about the different types of plants first. So apart from the existing millwoods that we have and the bristle blossoms, they added in two new plants, which is the pincha pepper nut, as you can see here. It kind of grows upside down, so it's planted a bit differently. And this type of plant grows at a very high temperature, which is at around 30 degrees or 40 degrees Celsius. Those are the ideal temperature that it requires for it to grow. Now there is also another one, which is the sleet wheat. So the sleet wheat grows at negative 30 to negative 40 degrees Celsius. You gotta keep them in the ice biome. I have to say, sleet wheats I think is the next best thing for your source of food. If in case you're not able to sustain your millwood and your bristle blossoms, they are the best thing to grow. So later on, let's talk about the different uses for sleet wheats and the pincha pepper nuts and the other two plants. So next thing we're going to be talking about would be the different planter boxes that were added into the game. What I mean by planter boxes is that they added different tiles, I guess. So they added a farm tile and a hydroponic tile. Hydroponic farm. So for aquatic farm tile, it's still the same thing. So you still use it mainly to plant the simple weeds, and you'll get those materials that you can use to create your clothes. Now for farm tile and hydroponic farm, now their main uses is to make your plants yield better yields, produce better yields. So there is So in a while, we're going to be talking about the different types of yields. But yes, the main purpose of these tiles is to give those better yields. Now, the main difference between these two is that farm tile will only require you fertilizers in order to get a better yield for your plant. Now, for hydroponic farm, it will require you water. Now, as you can see here, I have a lot of pipes created for these hydroponic tiles. And as you can see, there are two different pipes. You can see that one is carrying polluted water and one is carrying clean water. So the clean water is for the bristle blossoms. They require clean water, while the millwood requires polluted water. So it took me a while to understand this. I made a lot of mistakes creating. As you can see here, I have one pipe here I created which I didn't understand because I was putting polluted water into my bristle blossom. I thought that was the requirement. Apparently, I didn't read it well, so I made that mistake. So right now, I did get it right. So you can see that these are growing correctly. So you just gotta read the effects so that you will understand. So you just need to see water here. That means that it needs clean water for bristle blossoms. Now for millwoods, it will say polluted water, which I didn't read it properly, I guess. So that's where I got it wrong. Now, same goes for the pinch of pepper nuts and for the sleet wheats. So sleet wheats would require clean water. For pinch of pepper nuts, it would require, I think, polluted water, if I'm right. Good water. Yeah. So pinch of pepper nut and millwoods will require polluted water, and sleet wheats and bristle blossoms will require clean water. So I would recommend, if you can, then try your best to use hydroponic farms. But as I've said, I still haven't been able to do the best yields using the hydroponic farm. So if you're still not able to do that, then you can probably opt for the farm tile for the time being. As by default, it will always produce a good yield for any plant that you use them for. Now let's talk about the yields. So there are different types of yields and each plant. Now for mealwoods, if you have a standard yield, then you get an 80 kilocalorie meal rice. You get good yield, you get double that. Then for excellent, you get an extra 2 seeds, which means that if you master how to make excellent yield plants, then you can probably have unlimited mealwoods. Unfortunately, as you can see here, I'm struggling. I'm running out of mealwoods. I don't have any more seeds. Now, for bristle blossoms, it's similar, but the main difference here is that for a good yield for a bristle blossom, it will produce 1 seed at the final harvest, and that on its own is good enough, I guess, so that at least I know that I'll never run out of bristle blossoms. And who knows? Maybe if I figure out how to make an excellent yield, I will have 2 bristle blossom seeds, which will yield more bristle blossoms. Now, in terms of availability of bristle blossoms, there's not much compared to mealwoods. Make sure to not waste these bristle blossoms in planter boxes because planter boxes will just give you standard yields, which is not good. Now, for pincha pepper nut, you're going to be able to get seeds and the number of pincha pepper nuts. So these plants are mainly used for ingredients in some recipes in your cooking station, which for me, based on my experience, is not the top priority plant that you will need to have, but it's just a nice to have. Now, if you want to grow a pinch of pepper nut, it requires a certain temperature. As you can see, it requires 55 to 60 degrees Celsius to grow properly. But what I did here is that I just put a space heater, just a 60 degrees Celsius. I guess that's enough for it to grow. So I just put it here, and it's growing quite well. I'm at 75% yield. Unfortunately, I have not been able to make it grow further than that, so I still need to figure out how to do that. Most likely, maybe I'm missing the temperature. It says here ideal air pressure, and it will also say ideal temperature. I think that would be the perfect position for your plants to actually grow, which I'm not able to do here at the moment. Now, for the sleet weeds, these are actually very easy to grow. I have not tried the hydroponic. Maybe it'll yield better yields, but I would assume it's the same because currently it's at 50 when you're using the farm tiles. And I would assume that if I use my hydroponic and not the ideal temperature and not the ideal temp and ideal air pressure, then you'll still be at 75, which is still good yield. So I need to figure that one out, how I can actually make it the perfect uh, situation for these plants to grow. Now, the good thing about sleet wheats is that they will produce 25, 50, and 75 sleet wheats. Now, do take note later on in the cooking station, this is probably the next best option for your food source, apart from bristle blossoms, if in case you cannot produce more bristle blossoms. Reason why is that you only need 3 grains of sleet wheats to produce a frost bun, which is worth 1 kilocalorie of food. Now, since the abundance of number of sleet wheats that you can create per harvest, then this could potentially be the next best option for you to have the unlimited resource of food. Now, you just need to make sure to plant enough in order to supply your colony. As for me, I have very big requirements. I'm 27, so obviously these are not enough to supply my entire colony. As you can see, I have 2 microbe mushers to supply my colony and survive. Since right now I'm still experimenting, so for now I left it with that situation. But eventually I do plan to make a large plantation of sleet wheats, and I will probably just use that for main source. All right, so now let's look into the cooking station. So they made a few changes with the cooking station. They have quite a number of recipes added in. So initially we had the mush fry, which removes diseases from the mush bars. Now, of course, there are downsides, right? So if you create a mush fry, you need to use 2 mush bars, which is worth 2 kilocalories. But the effect is that you're only going to produce 1 kilocalorie of mush fry, but with a good quality that it removes diseases from the mush bars. Now, initially for me, I don't feel there's a big need to remove diseases from the food because the adverse effects are not that bad at the moment. So having spores, having diarrhea, having trench stench, they're okay. It's manageable. Your duplicate still manages to do their job well. It's not that big of a deal, or it's not something that I would be worried about when my duplicates have those diseases. So these things I would not prioritize getting or trying to create. But of course, if you have a lot of supplies, then go ahead. You can create these. Now, I guess barbecue would be one of the rarest things that you will ever be able to create because it requires meat. And we all know where we can only get meat, right? From those crabs. That's the only way you can get meat, and that's very rare. The main thing that I mentioned earlier is the sleet wheat. So this is what you can create, which is the frost bun. It only requires 3 sleet wheat grains, and you can produce every yield at a minimum of 25 grains. That means you can create 8 frost buns from that. Now do take note that sleet wheats requires 20 cycles to grow. So you need a number of sleet wheats to make a sustainable production of food or colony. But definitely this is something that you can look into. Now for the pepper bread, the only difference here is that the quality is good. Now, the thing here is that I don't know what the main benefit of the quality here. I have not yet seen what it does to the duplicates. So I'm not going to prioritize this, nor would I prioritize stuffed berry, because the amount of calories or the amount of ingredients that they will need will be quite high as compared to the frost bun or the mush fries or the bristleberry. And I guess maybe if you have the luxury of food or resources for your recipe, then I guess you can create these. But if not, then stick to the basics, which is go for the frost buns and just go for the mush mush bar if you don't have enough plants to grow you food. That's what I'm doing at the moment. So the mush bars are keeping me alive because I'm running out of millwoods and I have very few um, bristle blossoms because I made a lot of mistakes early on in the game. I lost quite a bit of bristle blossoms earlier because I didn't know that they stop yielding seeds when they're in standard yield. I didn't know that. So lost quite a number of bristle blossoms, and all I have left are 6 of them. So hopefully I do manage to make them grow. But right now I'm gonna rely on sleet wheats because they're gonna be the next best thing for me. So the next thing we're gonna be talking about is the natural gas. Now natural gas, I have to say, is a pretty good resource for energy. As you can see here, this is my natural gas generator. I have two of these, so I have one here and I have one there. And they're practically unlimited. So the downside of the natural gas generator is that it produces carbon dioxide, as you can see here. So much carbon dioxide right now in my base. Then it also produces polluted water, which is not much because I left this big of a hole. It's been dripping a lot of polluted water, but very few. So I don't think it's much of an issue. The only, I guess, downside is the main downside that can probably affect you is the carbon dioxide, which can be managed if you just put your bases in where the carbon dioxide can only. You can probably put an earth scrubber like I did here, which can clear out the carbon dioxide here. But apart from that, that's the only downside, and that's pretty cool. That's pretty good. Now, the struggle that I had first when I tried to figure out where the heck does natural gas come from, it actually comes from a geyser. So right now we have two geysers now. So first geyser we have is the steam geyser. As you can see, I have so much water. I don't know what to do with. So that's good. I have two geysers here. So the moment that you see geysers, just make a pool, and you'll have unlimited geysers, and you'll have unlimited water. I mean, don't worry about it. So the next geyser that you're gonna see would be the natural gas geyser. So you can see the gas here; it's color orange. Now initially there wasn't much gas here; it was just bumped up here, and I opened it up, and wow, it scattered all. So anyways, in terms of abundance, it's unlimited. Don't worry about it. It's gonna keep producing and producing and producing. So as you can see in my gas pipes, I have a maximum number of natural gas in the gas pipes, which is around 1,002 problem. And it's supplying enough for both of my natural gas generators, and I don't need to use manual generators anymore. Just using them for the sake that I can increase my character's skill sets. So another thing to take note is that make sure that when you're creating your ration boxes inside this area, make sure that there's no polluted oxygen going around. Because if you do have a lot of polluted oxygen, it kind of affects your ration boxes in the sense that it says it's polluting the food or something like that. At some point, it actually decayed my food faster, even if they're refrigerated. It will post something of a notification in this ration box saying that it's polluted or something like that. Make sure to always clean out the air and make it sterile and remove those polluted oxygen. So another thing to take note is that in terms of the biomes, they made quite a number of changes. Now I know they made some of these changes in the thermal upgrade version, but I guess it would be nice to take note of it. So you will notice that all of the biomes will now have sand and sandstones. You will see them available in the ice biome. You will see them available here in the purple biome. So see it here. And they also have it in the slime biome, which try to find it. There it is. So it's all available in all of the biomes, which is good. So you won't really have any problems in terms of supply of sand. As you can see, I have so much sand at the moment. So in terms of oxygen requirements, as I've advised before, you only need to use one algae deoxidizer. And you can add in an electrolyzer if in case your base is a bit more bigger. So as you can see, it's quite large, so one algae deoxidizer is not going to be enough to supply. In terms of algae supply, you really have no problems with it because you have biodistillers producing algae for you. You have a lot of slime to get in order for your biodistillers to actually feed them and create algae. And of course, algae is available in the purple biome. It's available in the slime biome. So there's quite a lot of supply for algae, and since you're only using it mainly for the deoxidizers and a number of terrariums, if in case you have a lot of carbon dioxide in the base, then apart from that, you won't have any problems with the supply. And for water, as I mentioned earlier, it's virtually unlimited. The moment they put the steam geysers in, water is virtually not a problem anymore. So you can actually have a ton of algae algae if you want to. You can actually do away with the deoxidizers if you want, but that's gonna be a lot of work for your duplicants. So if you have, let's say, maybe a population of 5 or 10, then that's gonna be a bit of a problem because it's gonna consume most of your time trying to, take care of these terrariums if you have so much of them. So there are pros and cons, I guess. So it's really up to you. And so those are the things that I can share with you. So those are the tips that I can share with you for the agricultural upgrade version. So hopefully this video helped you out. And if you do have any questions or clarifications of some of the things that I've mentioned, just leave a comment and I'll try my best to help you out. Now again, thanks for dropping by and watching my video. If you do enjoy the content, please do leave a like and subscribe. And if not, there's a dislike button there that you can press. And see you again next time, guys. TR out.